One key to a positive response to your emails is making sure that you are reaching out to the right person when doing your cold prospecting. Otherwise, you will get replies like, "I'm not the decision maker," or "this is not relevant," and so on. In this session, I'll show you a couple of strategies for easily connecting with people and unlocking many new opportunities. For example, if you want to reach out to the founder of a startup you want to convert, an industry expert you want to interview, or a person you admire and want to meet, you can easily do it by using the tactics that I'll share with you in the next minutes. I've been using these methods for the past 8 years, and it's what has helped me build and grow L'Empire into a successful company. When I first started as an entrepreneur, I tried to reach out to potential clients, but I had no clue how to find their contact details without spending a fortune. You might have been trying to reach your targets through hours of research, trying to find contact info and digging deeper than anyone should have to, just to end up with nothing. The process simply takes too much of your time and has much to be desired. With my advice, you can find your target's contact information in just a few minutes without having to do any deep digging. So in this session, we're going to cover all the tips and tricks regarding the structure of an email address. We'll talk about the manual way versus Chrome extensions when it comes to connecting and finding the right contact details. We'll see and discuss what an email database is and how it can save you tons of time, energy on your research. But let's first talk about the manual way of finding your prospect's contact information. The first thing we'll dive into is the anatomy of an email address. This free approach will help you make an estimated guess as to what your lead's email address is. So here you have the basic structure of an email. The first part of this is the variation of your lead's name, for example, first name at, or first name dot last name at, or first initial dot last name at, etc. This is followed by their domain name like lemlist.com, or if it's a personal email address domain like gmail.com, Hotmail, etc. And ends with the domain extensions such as .com, .net, .org, etc. Using this information, you can determine the pattern of emails for an entire company. I know you are probably thinking there is no way that it can be this easy, and I thought the same thing at first. But I'll show you how you can, for free, guess almost anyone's email address on the planet. So now that we have an idea of what the email address will look like, we need to figure out how to generate multiple possibilities and then validate our option. This brings us to the next step, evaluating finding the emails the manual way versus a Chrome extension. If you want to find your emails the manual way, you can go to Lemlist Email Permutator. It's free. You plug in the name and company domain values, and in seconds, it will generate a full list of possible emails for you. Now you can go to your email and paste all of your potential email addresses. If you drag your mouse over all of the recipients, you will see one where the person's info will appear, such as their photo, their name, etc. Or you can use Lemlist's free email checker. It will show you which email address works. The links to both Lemlist Permutator and email checker are actually in your Notion doc dedicated to this chapter. And voila, just like magic, you have the email of the person you want to contact. But there are a couple of other ways you can find an email address manually. For example, you could use their social media sites. If you are trying to reach a specific individual, especially one in the B2B space, your best bet is to go to LinkedIn and check their contact info. Usually, they will have an email address listed that is associated with their LinkedIn profile. So you can guarantee that this is a valid address currently in use. If the person you are trying to reach is a business owner or an influencer, you can also use Instagram to find contact info. These profiles are usually public, and because of the nature of the business, they will have their contact info directly on there because they want people to contact them after seeing their content. The person also might have a button on their profile to email them, or you can press contact and find their email address directly there. If you want to contact a business, specifically one in the B2C space, you can also use Facebook to find their contact information. Most businesses have a Facebook page where they post content as well as updates about the business. So to find their email, simply check out their Facebook page and go to the contact section. This manual way is free, but it takes a lot of time and you don't always get the info you're looking for. So typically, this is not what I would personally use, but I wanted you to understand how everything works. So now comes one of the best ways to find email addresses using a Chrome extension. By downloading a Chrome extension, you can automate the process we just did, which, depending on how many people you want to contact, can save you hours every single week. There are thousands of Chrome extensions like LeadIQ, Lucia, Casper, etc. that will allow you to go to a LinkedIn profile and find the email addresses associated with. So how do you know which one to use? Well, we tested the top 100 of these extensions, and the reality is that they all have their pros and cons. Some will find more emails in a certain industry than others, or sometimes it will depend on the geography, but some don't have the up-to-date emails. That's why we decided to build our own Lemlist Chrome extension and add all the best tools in the backend. That way you are 100% sure to use the best tools at all times, as it works in what we call a waterfall enrichment. Kevin will walk you through the process of finding valid email address inside Lemlist. So essentially what we did with Lemlist Chrome extension is we took all the best providers on the market. We are actually like customers. And once we try to find an email address with one extension, if we see that they can't find it, we will jump in the backend to the second extension and the third one and the fourth one. And once we find it, we find with other extension whether or not they find the same. And if they do, we match it and validate it for you. So essentially, when you are paying for, let's say, 10 tools to find one emails, you actually go through our extension and it's free and you don't have to do it. And the reason we can do it without charging you is simply because we have such a large amount of data that we can, with the volume of our user base, can leverage it amongst all our customers. And if you are looking for a more advanced tool, you can always turn to email databases. So they will help you generate more leads, close more sales, and save a lot more time and money. So I'll walk you through a few of my favorites so you can get a better idea of which one works best for your needs. If you are looking for people on LinkedIn, to be honest, the Lemlist database is the most extensive on the market with more than 450 million profiles. Kevin, again, will show you fully the demo of how to find leads and how to leverage the Lemlist database. Their emails, and then you can also push them directly to a campaign. But when I first got started with cold email, I tested thousands of different frameworks to understand what would work and not work. I will now hand over this part to Kevin, who will show you how to use Lemlist database to find leads, their emails, and push them straight to your email campaign.
Kevin again, but this time to talk about cold outreach. In the past 5 years, we've been able to help hundreds of thousands of businesses all over the world to be successful with cold outreach. And by now, you should already know what this success looks like. But the last milestone is what are the tools that you need to actually implement all of that. Today, I'm going to talk about what are the tools, what are the techniques to find the right leads, to find their valid information, to then contact them on multiple channels, and then analyze everything that you've done to then improve and increase the results that you have with your outreach. Also, be sure to stay until the end because I'm going to have a very cool surprise for you at the end waiting for you. Now, if we get right into it, the first step is how do you find the right leads? Well, LinkedIn is maybe the best way of actually doing that because it's the most up-to-date and with the most amount of data about companies, people, etc., professionally. So the first way of actually finding the right leads is to going on LinkedIn and using their filters. So you, I think, know by now how LinkedIn works. And so you're able to play with a lot of filters. Or you can go to LinkedIn Sales Navigator. It's between, I think, 80 or $150 per month. So it's quite pricey, but you get a lot more options and a lot more filters that will be helpful for you to find the right people to then target. So once you've found those right people on LinkedIn and LinkedIn Sales Navigator, what you can do is to use the Lemlist Chrome extension to actually collect all of those leads on the page, whether it's on LinkedIn or Sales Navigator. And then you only have to choose the campaign that you want to send those leads to. And that's pretty much it. You've been able to find leads and then to basically scrape them, to collect them, and then use them in the tool to then contact them. That's the first way of finding leads. Now I'm going to show you a second way, and a way that I much rather prefer, which is directly inside of Lemlist. Directly inside of Lemlist, you have a tab called Leads, and here you have access to 450 million leads. This database is basically LinkedIn minus all the fake profiles, minus all the non-reactive people on LinkedIn or non-active in general, plus custom filters that we applied directly to the data. And we also added even extra things that are going to make this database way more valuable, like intents. And I'm going to be able to detail that right after. The other cool thing about using the Lemlist database is that it's not going to use your LinkedIn account to extract profiles and to basically do actions on LinkedIn. And LinkedIn, you can only automate a certain amount of actions every day before getting restricted. So the fact of using Lemlist, it's not going to use any actions on your LinkedIn account. And so you risk way less, you have way less risks to actually getting your account restricted. And so getting it restricted is a real pain in the butt, because this means that potentially you could lose forever your account, start over again, and all the efforts that you actually put into creating a personal brand, to posting, to connecting with people is going to go back to zero. And using this database is super easy. All you have to do is to go to the filters on the top, choose the type of filter that you want to add, and then choose the value of every filter. Here, for example, I have current job title is CEO, but I can also exclude. I don't want sales. I don't want this or that, et cetera, et cetera. And you can also choose from a ton of other filters, some of which are super, super interesting. For example, you have intents that we're adding bit by bit to the database. So that's a very good example of stuff that you won't be able to find on LinkedIn or LinkedIn Sales Navigator, which is, for example, here, companies that are currently hiring for a specific job title. And so this means that it's basically a trigger that tells you, all right, well, this company that fits your ICP that you've determined with G actually might be interested right now because they're looking for a sales rep. So if you're selling sales services, it might be a good time to actually reach out to them. So you have hiring, companies who are hiring, you have companies who use a specific product. So for example, who use Intercom, who use customer.io, who use all sorts of tools. And if your service or product works well with the people or companies that use those tools, or if they can replace those tools, those are basically filters that are going to be super interesting for you to actually put inside of your search and then contact, because there's a high chance that you're going to be able to provide value to them. For every leads that appears here, you're going to be able to click on their profile and see more information on who they are. What are their descriptions on LinkedIn? What are their job titles, past experiences, et cetera, et cetera. So that's finding leads. Now, the second part is, how do you find their valid contact information? Well, if you go back to LinkedIn and you actually use the Lemlist Chrome extension, you've probably noticed that before pushing leads to a specific campaign, you have an option to find their contact information. For example, if you go to the import settings of your Chrome extension, you can add the option to find verified email addresses for your leads and also collect all of their information on their LinkedIn profile, their job title, about section, experiences, et cetera, et cetera. And then once you've ticked those options, you can import those leads. And when you import those leads, they're automatically going to be enriched with those options that you selected. The same thing happens if you want to choose the Lemlist option. So when you select multiple leads, or you can select entire pages, you can then push them to a specific campaign and find their verified email addresses. Here, you don't have the option to collect their LinkedIn information because it's already there. We already did the work of collecting all of their LinkedIn information if you click on their profile. You found the right leads, you found their valid contact information, it's time to contact them. For that, you're going to go to Lemlist in the Campaigns tab and you're going to create a new campaign. Here, you can fill out a prompt to have a first campaign all created for you, or you can go manual and create it yourself. The first thing you notice is the different types of channels that you have. You have email, you have LinkedIn, cold calling, manual tasks, or even more advanced options like API calls. Here, you just need to press on the step to add it to your campaign. And maybe let's add a voice message on LinkedIn, and you can add a delay between the different steps. So let's put 6 days, for example. So this way you're not too pushy when contacting the different leads that you have inside of your campaign. Now here, you can even go further and create conditions. So for example, if somebody has accepted me on LinkedIn, then I want to continue the conversation with LinkedIn messages. But if they didn't accept my LinkedIn invitation on LinkedIn, then I'm going to need to maybe go via email because I can't reach out to them on LinkedIn since they haven't accepted my invitation. So maybe here, what makes the most sense is to send a LinkedIn invitation before. So I'm maybe going to remove the voice message, but all of that is going to be triggered automatically. So here, for example, I can wait maybe 2 days after my first email, whatever we want. Here, I maybe want to wait a couple of days too. Here, also the same thing. And then all you have to do is to pick the sender account at which you want to send those steps with. So if I take this person here, I'm going to be able to send this campaign from this person. So this is an email, and this is a subject line. And you can do the same thing with LinkedIn messages. This is a message. And this is also a message. And just like that, you've already created a campaign. Now, of course, it might take a bit of time for you to actually get started and to write the good campaign that you need. So this is why we have templates. If you go to lemless.com and then under resources, you have cold outreach templates. This is basically a library of templates of real people actually sending campaigns that you can duplicate before or after checking out their stats. What are the results with a campaign like this? Now, it might vary. That this doesn't really mean that you're going to get exactly the same results because it depends on maybe how you edit this type of campaign, but also the different types of targets that you have. It might be a different industry. But what's super interesting is that you can duplicate this campaign with this button and actually have it inside of your Lemless account and open the campaign, edit it, and reuse it to actually be more successful with your outreach campaigns. Something super powerful inside of Lemless is the A/B testing feature. This allows you to basically A/B test 2 different approaches if you split your leads in half. Half of them are going to receive sequence A, half of them are going to receive sequence B. So you can have different approaches with the same types of targets to see what works the best. And you can also do this at the step level. So clicking on the 3 dots here on any step, you can create an A/B test just for this one. And the rest of the campaign is going to be the exact same thing. Next, during this course, you've understood normally the importance of adding personalization, adding a human touch, or at least appearing human, appearing authentic. A good way of doing this is by adding personalization right here, where you can add custom images, custom landing pages, custom variables, or even go further and add liquid syntax. Liquid syntax basically will change, for example, the whole message depending on if a lead has a specific criteria. So for example, if you import inside of Lemless a lead list and you have a column language, for every lead you have their language. Based on that, you can create a liquid syntax directly inside of Lemless with the editor, for example, if you press create a new one here. And that's going to allow you to create a liquid syntax that is going to change the entire content of your message if the lead that you're contacting is French or English, and you can adapt the content based on that. But you can do the exact same thing with job title, for example. If you have head of sales and CEOs inside of the same campaign, you can create a liquid syntax to basically have a specific intro or specific keywords like head of sales, for the head of sales targets, and have different types of content or phrases inside of your email for the CEO. The way to do this is, again, to go to add personalization, liquid syntax, to create your own, or to select one of the templates that we already created for you. The way of creating custom images is very simple. It's basically, see it as a layer. So you're going to be able to add elements to a canvas. And so, for example, you can add an image here. So this might be a background image. And then you can, for example, add a piece of text where you're going to be able to add some variables. So for example, here, I can add the variable first name. And so here, I'm gonna be able to paste first name as a variable on top of any image that I choose and that is relevant for the people that I'm targeting. So this means that the first name here variable is gonna change for every lead that you contact. And then you have more advanced formatting options like the font, et cetera, et cetera. And so this allows you to create very cool personalized images, but you can also browse the entire template library that we have where you see exact examples of what it can actually look like. Now, of course, you're going to also have more advanced options that you'll be able to discover as you go through Lemlist. For example, you can ask AI to help you write a sequence. You have more options inside of the settings to stop a campaign based on a reply, link clicked, et cetera, et cetera. You can send them at specific times of the day, et cetera, et cetera. You have a ton of options here. If we go then to the lead list, here, once you've selected the campaign, you should see all of the leads that you found in the database or on LinkedIn that you push directly to this specific campaign. In this case, I created a new campaign, but you also have other ways of importing leads. For example, if you have a lead list somewhere hanging out, you can import a CSV directly inside of Lemlist. You can import manually or even from a CRM. For example, we have HubSpot, Salesforce, Pipedrive, et cetera, et cetera. Or again, you have the database I was mentioning previously directly here available for you, where you can select the leads directly and push them to this campaign. Then all of your leads are going to appear here inside of a table with all of their lead information, and you're going to be able to access everything again. And it's going to unlock the last tab, which is review and launch, which is basically a place where you can actually see the exact campaign that the lead is going to receive when you launch this lead. And so what's super interesting is if you add a variable, like for example, a first name, you're going to be able to see in the review section if the first name properly switched to this lead. So here you'd have like all the list of the leads, and Brandon here, I can see his first name appeared properly and it doesn't show first name, which is perfect. So this is a cool way to rapidly check if the message at the end that the user, the lead is going to receive is going to be the right one, or if you have some changes to do. And then here, all you need to do is to select the leads that you want to send and then press review. This is going to actually launch the campaign. Now, I'm not going to contact Brandon for this example. However, once you've launched your campaign, you're going to be able to go to the report section. And in the report section, you're going to be able to understand, and this is the fourth component of understanding your actual replies. This is where you'll be able to understand how your campaigns perform. You're going to be able to see how many people you contacted, how many actually received your email, opened, clicked, reply, interested, etc., etc. So you have a bunch of stats here. You can actually customize it the way you want. See it a bit as if it was your iPhone lock screen. You can add, edit, reorder, delete widgets. So for example, I can reorder this one. I can move it around. I can remove this widget, and I can choose from a bunch of other widgets to understand how my performance is going by campaign, by user, by email, etc., etc. The last thing I want to show you is how to connect email addresses to your Lemlist account. So all you need to do is to press on your profile picture, then settings, and then under sending settings, you will be able to connect a certain amount of email addresses depending on the plan that you have. And it's a very easy process. All you need to do is press the button here and connect the email address that you want to connect to your account. You'll be able also to manage all sorts of things like the signature, the integrations with other products, notifications, sending limits for your email addresses, etc., etc. And that pretty much wraps it up. We've seen together how to find leads, how to find their valid contact information, how to reach out to them on multiple channels with personalization, etc., to increase your likelihood of success. And then understand how successful you are and how you need to iterate in the future with new campaigns, etc., with the report section. Now, you stayed until the end, so now it's time for the surprise, as promised. The surprise is very simple. We're going to give you a 20% discount for the first year on Lemlist if you apply the coupon code that appears on the screen right now and below the video. To apply this coupon code, go to your Lemlist account, then under Plans and Billing, click manage plan, and then click on apply coupon code. Here you'll be able to paste this coupon code and redeem all this good stuff. Now, for a bit of context, we really never or very rarely give out coupon codes just because of the value that we give with our tools. People are able to get an ROI in no time with their subscription. And so it's a no-brainer, and it doesn't make sense for us to give out coupon codes. But because you're part of this course, it's a very, very special occasion that you have right now to actually have a coupon code and to use it inside of Lemless. So my biggest recommendation for you moving forward is, if you're really serious about starting your business, getting leads, getting meetings, getting revenue, and growing it over the long term, sign up to Lemless, apply this coupon code, apply everything that G taught you throughout this full course, and put in the work consistently to get there. And this is basically the way that you're going to be able to reach the goals that you have for the company that you're building at the moment. And with that being said, if you have any questions, if you need any help using the product, we have inside of Lemless, and it's the same thing for all of our other products, we have a chat bubble on the bottom right of the screen that you can contact at any time. We usually reply between 10 and 20 minutes as a first touch to help you out with the problems that you have. So really the goal here is to make you successful. If you're successful, then we're successful. So with that being said, happy prospecting.